Hello folks, welcome to the canal channel Jose. Today we're going to give you an idea how to replace the rear brakes on a 2005 to 2020 Toyota Tacoma. This is for a two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. And these brakes are not disc brakes. These brakes are drums. So this is going to give you an idea if you want to do it yourself or you want to take it to a shop and spend a little bit more money. So with that said, let's get started. So now we have lifted our truck. We set it on jack stands, and then we have taking off the wheel, and now we have the drum exposed. We're going to be taking the drum out, and we're going to be replacing the brake shoes and the hardware and putting a new drum. So that way, if you want to do this job or you think it's too complicated, that way you get an idea what we go through to replace the rear brakes on this truck. So here we have the one of the drums. Here's the other one in the box. We have the hardware, the springs and all that. We have the adjustments for the brakes, almost of the hardware, and here we have the brake shoes. So this is all we're changing on this truck. So now what we have to do is we have to release our e-brake, so that way all the brakes release from the drum and we can slide the drum right out. Otherwise you'll be fighting the drum to come out when you have the brake on. So we take the e-brake out. So now we got the brake shoes exposed. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to start taking the brake shoes off everything. But one thing I want to say is that if you don't know how things go, leave one side complete, so that way you got a reference on how everything falls in case you lose track of what you're doing on one side. So that way you expose the other side, and then you complete one side, and then you go to the other side to start working on the other side. Don't take both sides apart and then you lose track of what you're doing. So one thing before you start getting into the hardware and the brake shoes, you want to compare your drum to the one you have bought to make sure that it looks or is the same as what you're taking out. Because if that what you're taking out is what you're putting in is not going to fit with what you're taking out, then you're going to have problems. So this is the moment that you want to make sure that everything looks the same, so that way before you start getting into the hardware, you realize that you don't have the right drum and it might not be the right parts. So always compare parts before you start taking components off. The driver's side brakes, this spring that goes right underneath here, it's kind of long. We're going to take it out from right here. So now this, we have to unhook it from here, and that's the spring for the adjustment. So we got to take it out from here on this brake shoe. So now right here, the piston where the brake shoe touches, they line up here on the groove, and they cannot be off like that. They have to sit right in there when we're putting it back in. So this is, we're taking them off right now, but when we put them back in, they have to line up in there. So now there's another spring right here. We got to take it out from here. So now this washer style clip or securing point, we have to press it and turn it to release it from the rod. And for that, we're going to be using this tool that is specially made for that. So we grab it over it, we press, and then we hold it through the back. The rod comes through the back on the housing, so we can secure it from pushing back, and then we turn it a little bit. So we're going to guide the cut with the rod so it releases and comes off, so that way we can start taking this brake shoe off. So that right there right now is like this. We have the spring, this washer, and then we have the rod that is going through. So it's sitting like this. So what we need to do is push it in the washer, so then we compress the spring and it gives us the space to turn it and then guide it so it comes out through the crack. So they're offset right now. So as you can see, they're sitting like this right now. So we gotta turn it and guide it out. But for that, we gotta put tension in it because the spring. So now at this point, we can remove that little rod and everything is pretty much gonna release. It's gonna start releasing comes through the back. So at this point, we can almost remove this brake shoe. We have to slide this out of here as well. So from down here, the spring that we took off that went across like this, we gotta take it off. So now we have almost this brake shoe out. What we have to remove is we already removed the little spring that went across down here. We have to remove this arm out of there, but that goes across over. We gotta take that arm that goes across to the front for this brake shoe on the front. Take it out from there, and it comes out from there. So now we can do is we can pull our brake shoe out, and then we can undo the spring from here. There's no tension on this one already because there's no tension on top. So this is decompressed right here. So we take it out and we undo the spring from right there. So now we have this one that we have to press and turn so the washer comes out, and then we can take this brake out and start undoing these clips so we can get those the e-brake off of this brake shoe. So now our rear brake shoe is just attached to this area because of the parking brake or emergency brake. So we slide it out so we can start taking those components off from it so we can put the new brake shoe into the parking brake. We slid it off, and this is how it hangs. So we gotta undo this clip right here and this other clip to separate this plate and transferring to the new brake shoe, and this one has to come off from here too. So now that we took off these clips, we're gonna take these two plates off of our brake shoe. We're gonna put it on the new brake shoe. So now what we do is we like to sand down a little bit our new brake shoes or brake pads so we can adjust it better and they don't have high points and then it becomes dust right away. So we just sand it and we can start installing it so it's smoother surface and we can adjust it quicker. We have to put our spring into the adjustment like this. The long piece goes through the front. Then there's two springs, an orange and a green one. The orange goes on the driver's side. So now our adjustments hugs both plates, the brake shoe and the plate that goes to the e-brake. And then what we have to do is we have to undo our spring, and then we get the adjustment out of there so that the e-brake plate comes out of the brake shoe. So now we can take the e-brake plate and transfer it to the new brake shoe. So now that we have our new brake shoe with the adjustment in there and the two plates in the brake shoe and the inner plate for the e-brake and the outer plate over, now we can put the clip that goes here and squeeze them so this plate don't come out. So now we have put the two clips on that holds those plates against the brake shoe, so then we can start putting it back together. This has to go in there between those two plates, the adjustment. So both brake shoes have a hole in the bottom. There's where the spring goes, and it's gonna pull one brake shoe from the other brake shoe. So now we can put this little pin with the spring and this washer to hold the brake shoe against the structure of the drums. So on the front and in the back, there's a little hole where this pin goes through. Looks like a nail, it goes through. And then the brake shoe, and then the spring, and then the washer, which is a securing point. And that's about how it falls in. So that holds the brake shoe against the structure. So now we grab our front brake shoe, we attach it to this spring, we pass it under, and then we stretch it and put the brake shoe against this. So then we can start putting the pin that secures the brake shoe against the structure. So now we're gonna put this bracket that goes right into that hole, and then it's gonna be this part into the half moon right there. So now this long spring that goes right in the bottom from this, we just slide it right on that. We let it hang. That's so that bracket don't come out from here. So then we can concentrate on this area over here. That will put in a little bit. That goes hook up to here, but we don't want to create any tension here when this is falling off. So now what we can do is we can secure this to the structure of the backing plate by using one of these securing points on the front as well. So now that we did that, we're gonna have to put the big spring on the top that goes from that end to this end onto this hole. So this is the hardest part, and then we're gonna have to guide our adjustment right in here as well. So the spring here and then adjustment here. One thing is that this component right here has to have grease right in there. So that plate went inside that into that rod, and this part goes behind the adjustment, and this leg goes back to the adjustment to the gears, actually this, and then this part goes right in there, and then this hole down here, which is hiding back there, the spring hooks from it, and it's gonna pull right to this hole. So now we got everything pretty much in there. Last time we gotta do, we just gotta put this spring right there. And that right there is the adjustment, which would be this guy right here. So we gotta turn it so it opens up and the brakes start spreading so we can present it to the drum. We can adjust it right here so it starts opening, and then we can start trying our drum, and once it starts sliding in almost perfect, we have to do the final adjustment with the drum on from the inside of the structure. So now that we have adjusted brake shoes, we put our wheel back on. So what we did to our passenger side, we do to the driver's side, and we start replacing all the components. And well, folks, hopefully this video was useful and helpful how to replace the rear brakes on a 2005 to 2020 Toyota Tacoma. And this is a drum system, not a brake system for like a rotor. So I'm surprised that Toyota is still using drums in the rear when it's a 2018, 2019 Toyota Tacoma. So this is older technology that is still being applied or implemented onto these trucks. So it takes more labor and more work to take and replace those brakes than the rotors, because the rotors are more simple and more efficient. But like we said, this is just an idea if you want to get into it or you want to take it to a shop and have them done. So with that said, folks, for friends who are watching the video, have to subscribe to our channel. Please subscribe. If you like the video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here en el canal El Chano José.